because I feel like you think you're talking to some regular liberal or whoever. I feel like you don't. I feel like you don't. You're not, you're talking to me. So what I'm saying is, you're talking to me. So what I'm saying is, I mix what I like. What I like.
I mix what I like is exactly where you want and need to be. I mix what I like organic, vegan, soul food from your immediate diet. Get healthy.
I mix what I like. What I
We're
like.
here on I Mix What I Like. You may check us out on imixwhatilike.org, where you can see all these other shows and what my daddy liked and other cool things.
All right, good people. Welcome back to I Mix What I Like right here at I Mix What I Like. Again, I'm Jared Ball. Happy to be your host. And we're going to get right into it because I just finished watching it. And this is a fantastic, new, amazing film called Crushing Wheelchairs, featuring two of our guests here who are no strangers to this platform, Lisa Tiny Garcia, Leroy Moore. Welcome back from Poor Magazine and beyond. Welcome back to the platform. It's good to see you both, and congratulations. That joint, the film is amazing. But welcome, welcome, welcome.
Ashe, thank you. Thanks.
Uh,
What's up, man?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Hey, Gerald, what's up, man?
Man, it's good to see you again, man. And again, congratulations to everybody involved. So folks, please do like, share, subscribe, support the platform, and all of those things. And I don't even know. Let me let you all talk about this new film. I got to be honest with you. I'm trying to think. I'm not sure I've been this moved. I know I just watched it, so there's recency bias and all that. But I don't know if I've been this moved by a film in a very long time. Like this was remarkable. So yes, please talk about it. Please talk about it.
Well, thank you. First of all, Gerald, we love you. And I just want to shout out this show and your liberation message and my mama D who loved her some Jared Ball. So just want to call her in from the other side of the spirit journey. Thank you for all that you are. You know, first of all, I want to thank the First Nations people upon whose lands we're standing from so-called Uchun to Lenape, where you are. And as we're on stolen land in this time of so much colonial terror. And again, our liberation is so important, and your liberative voice is so important. I want to thank my Mama D, for without whom there'd be no me and be no we. As poor and houseless people, Our lives are under attack, and arguably poor people across Mama Earth are under attack and constantly predated on. What this movie is really is many things. The first of which is a scream, a shout, a prayer to society at large to stop dehumanizing human beings because we don't have access to the lie of rent, to stop objectifying and calling us things because we're outside, because we don't have a roof, to all the politricksters who say we need to get rid of the homeless problem. I say I am your homeless problem. And then beyond that, this violence kills. And so this movie is also about honoring the ancestors of this violence. As you might have noticed, one of the things that happens in the movie is spirit walks through. For any practitioners of Ifa Oruba, which my mama was, Iba Yeye, that was the spirit of Oya, right? Calling in the ancestors. Luis Tomaj, who was burned alive for sleeping outside in so-called San Francisco. Luis Dimitro Gongara Pat, murdered by SFPD, so the local police here, for being Mayan indigenous on the street without a roof. Stephen Taylor, murdered in Walmart for having a mental health crisis. Police terror, disability, ableism, poverty, and homelessness intersect in this movie to provide a recognition of our voices. And then lastly, that we are poor folks and houseless folks. We don't need more about us without us media. We don't need more about us without us corporate Hollywood depictions. We can speak for ourselves. We're not acting, we're living. Leroy, what would you like to?
Yeah, once again, thank you, Gerald. I really, really love what you do. Prince Fanon said, the reason is the violence. And so we had to carry that out because they are carrying it out on the other side. So we have to carry it out. We have to be honest. If we're going to decolonize our mind, our life, it's going to be some very hard work to do. And that's what Poor Magazine's been doing for 20-something years. Without funding, without the Ford Foundation, doing it on the ground like the Black Panthers did. It's not rocket science. But this time we put it in a film, and we had to support it. It didn't go into film festivals because they said no.
Did they?
Yes.
So can I? So please forgive me. So folks, if you the film, so around here we've been talking a lot with Mtume Gant and others about film and how to do, a different, bring a different approach to both filmmaking and film viewing and third cinema and all this. To me, I could see why film festivals wouldn't want it just for the politics, but it is such a beautiful demonstration of what I think is the best of third cinema. I mean, in the sense that this is clearly told from the perspective of community, from the disabled, from the houseless, from the indigenous, Black, Chicano. I mean, and I got to tell you, that scene at the beginning that becomes the sort of, I guess, the titular scene of the film, where you see them bulldoze the wheelchair.
And that's reality. They do it all the time. Yeah. I witnessed one in Berkeley, liberal Berkeley, going home.
Somebody fixes themselves. So if they could, so obviously if somebody could get on a John Deere and drive over a Palestinian home because that was the first thought I had. That if they could do that
Okay.
there, then how easy must it be to roll over someone's wheelchair? Because the initial shock of seeing someone like just drive over a wheelchair, I'm sitting here watching it. I'm like, what?
Right. Right. Well, and it's so real. Let me just back up
Yeah.
to say that every single character in this movie is based on our life. So when I say we aren't acting, we're living, Jared, that's not just a cute saying. What you're seeing is the story of me and my mama. Seeing the story of my mama's life on the street. You're seeing Lori McElroy, one of the co-founders of Homefulness, Eva Yeye, because homelessness kills, and she's not still with us. And she was a young woman and should be. You're seeing essentially the story of Luis Gongora Pat, an indigenous relative from the other side of the false colonial borders, who basically came here, worked for the wealthy white people and cleaning their dishes in the kitchens of bougie San Francisco, and then they raised his rent, and he didn't have enough to pay the insane rent that they charge in a lot of these you know tech Elandia cities and gentra effing cities, and he ends up on the street. And so what happens? A gentrifier who doesn't know him calls 311, not 911, and they show up with the cops and that and you see the rest is history. These are the stories of Louise Tamaj, burned alive for sleeping outside. These are the stories of Shanna Marie Bigley, run over by a bulldozer. Run over, her body run over, Jared. James Edward Oakley in Vallejo, December of 2024, run over by a bulldozer. An elder black houseless relative. They heard him scream, Jared.
And I want to say, these stories don't make it to BLM. These stories don't make it to mainstream activism. They get Ford Foundation money. Yeah.
Well, that's because the other thing too that's really deep and sad, and I think in our history, as Leroy brought it up, me and Mama started Poor Magazine when we were sleeping in doorways in the back seat of cars. These were our life. This is the lives of my brother, my comrade Joseph Bolden and Ken Moshesh and other warriors who started Poor. We've been fighting to be heard for 29 years, Jared. This isn't like, oh, a few, folks trying to make a movie. This is our struggle. And so for us to turn that into this beautiful piece of art is also not different than what we've been doing, because Poor has made art from the gate. We believe that art as truly another way to connect the message that needs to be heard. We've been able to do that. We built Homefulness. I don't know if you saw that in the movie as well. One of the things this movie is about is that there's another solution. And the solution is not sweeping us like we're trash. The solution is that we have solutions. Wood Street Commons, one of the biggest communities, I don't use the word encampment because that's a military industrial complex word, but one of the biggest communities out here in West Oakland was violently bulldozed less than 2 years ago, evicting 400 and some people to nowhere. Mostly black and brown elders, by the way, gravely disabled black and brown elders.
And this happens to black mayors, black women mayors, black men mayors. So it doesn't, put a different face on it. It's still the same action. Anyway.
Cornelius Taylor, run over by a bulldozer in so-called Atlanta, just recently, right after James Edward Oakley, another right. But what I wanted to say about Wood Street Commons and that violence, there at the end of the movie you might have seen, is that there was no solutions created by the city of where to put folks. Instead, what there was, Jared, was this temporary tiny home thing that was built that housed people for exactly 18 months, and then at the end of it said, "Oh, sorry, we run out of funding. You're going to need to go." I wish I was joking, Jared. So we are in a desperate situation. The way I look at it, honestly, is this movie is an emergency. And yeah, I'm an artist, and so is Leroy. We're poets, we're cultural workers, and I literally feel like I couldn't breathe if I didn't write poetry. I mean, that's the shit I've been through, just to be real. The layers and layers of trauma. Poetry is water to me. But I also feel like if we don't lift up the urgency of this message, where will they where will we go, Gerald? I don't know if you have that happening in where you guys are at, but we have under Barbara Lee, literally over 100 people being swept, wheelchairs run over, walkers run over, medicine stolen, all your essential paperwork, your IDs, up to 100 people a day in Oakland right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just simply not close enough to know the details of what's happening out on this side of the country or around me, but I do know what's going on. Variations of it are going on all the time, whether it's Baltimore, or DC, or even out here in the so-called suburbs. I used to joke all the time, but it's a sad joke in a kind of way that seeing white families begging on the street corner was the final sign that this was a total collapse, especially
Mm,
out here. The idea, because the
mm,
stereotype would be if they were black or brown, you figure, well, that's sort of standard colonial behavior. But when the white poverty got to the point where even out here you're seeing white families, not just even individuals. I said, man, this things must be getting really bad. So it's admittedly disturbing approach, but that is admittedly how I was, and I do see it. But so no, I mean, so this is actually a good point that even for some of us who claim to be at all concerned with these kinds of issues, not a lot of us see it, and not myself especially, are not deeply involved enough to be around enough to see it. So seeing the film, I admit, was shocking is probably too. Other than that scene with the crushing of the wheelchair, I admit I wasn't ready for that. It was a very powerful moment. It's so it's not only, I know it's based in reality, but stylistically, the having that take off early on in the film. I do want to ask about the style, the creative part of the film, just because I'm fascinated by how you all did that. But I'm saying all that to say that the film, I hope you get as much of an audience as possible, because I think it will have what has to be part of the intended effect of saying, even to people with a certain set of politics, well, the way I took it at least, is that you got to get a little more serious and more involved. Like, this is crazy. Like, it's one thing to
mm.
recognize that there is a houseless situation, but I'm not. Anyway. So I'm just anyway. The congratulations. I think the again, what you intended to do was done very well.
Thank you.
And But that said, I don't know the numbers, I don't know all the details. I just know it's getting increasingly worse out this way and everywhere. And if what you all are describing has been going on, as you say, for so long, then we can just mm, I guess maybe start to prepare to see more of the nightmare you all are depicting. Now, what I can say is,
Mm,
out here, is that they're happy to build data centers to train AI to take more people's jobs, to create more houselessness.
that
But
part.
yeah, so but yeah, please say anything else you would want to say about anything. But otherwise,
Well,
I do definitely want to ask some about the method and the process of actually getting this film made. But yeah, go ahead.
yeah, well, what I want to ask Leroy to talk a little bit about, and let me back up a step. I just want to first say thank you for really seeing the movie and really sitting with it. That really makes my heart, go. So thank you. That was the intent. But I want to talk a little bit about, why we centered, arguably, there's a lot of things that we centered, but why we centered disability justice. Um, is a really important piece, and that's my brother Leroy and just the work of Crip Hop Nation and just what we've done at Poor Magazine for years is making the connection between when we're on the street, you're oftentimes at the intersection of all of these isms, right? Rarely, honestly, in the Bay Area are you have white families. You mostly have actually Black and brown and indigenous families, but all across so-called California, you have people of all colors. Um, what we notice with specifically people who are disabled is that when you're outside for a period of time, uh, anything that's wrong with you becomes that much worse. So you might have, you know, be an elder anyway and are dealing with some kind of medical condition, you will become gravely disabled outside. Um, and so the aspect of disability justice is an undercurrent all the way through this movie because also a lot of times the reason that we're predated on and killed by these state terrorists, aka the police, is because we're having a mental health crisis.
Mhm.
And so I wanted Leroy to talk a little bit about one of the first stories that Crip Hop and Poor Magazine did about Margaret Mitchell in L.A.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Tony. And once again, thank you, Jared. Um, yeah, the first story that I did for Poor Magazine almost 20 something years ago was this houseless black woman that had a mental health disability out here in LA. It's almost full circle because now I'm at UCLA. It's almost full circle. But yeah, she had mental health disability, and LAPD just came up and boom, boom. You know,
Yeah. And she was pushing a shopping
yeah,
cart.
shopping cart and things like that. And of course, LAPD, it's all about police training. It's so funny that we talk about Cop City now. Poor Magazine's been talking about that for decades. Police training was a joke from the beginning.
Right.
And matter of fact, I did a video talking about three generations of black men. My granddad, my dad, and me, all fighting police brutality. And now it's a cycle that keeps on going around about training. And that's one thing that I didn't get down, and we didn't get down with Black Lives Matter. Because if you go back to their history, they came out with police training. And I was like,
Right.
what the F is that? You know? So going back with talking about disabled people that are houseless, if you look at the statistics from the National Homeless Coalition, 70% of the people living outdoors are elderly and disabled. So we are kicking out our grandmas and our granddads with disabilities. So that says a lot
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
yeah.
And the thing that, so you notice that some of the main protagonists, right? They're always a coalition of, I mean, a coalescing of 3 or 4 different ancestor stories and the stories of the person who enacted them. So in the case of Auntie Frances, I don't know if you heard of Irish Canada, 100-year-old black elder evicted in San Francisco. I'm not even joking. And 2 days later, she transitioned. You don't evict an elder like that and think they're going to make it on the street. So we have this story, which is the connection between, supposedly people are housed and people who are unhoused is a very thin line. One of the things that never gets shown or told is our lives before we were on the street. So one of the goals of this movie, Jared, was to actually embody the recognition that we are humans who went through these things, and that's how we ended up out there. In the case of my mama, she was a mixed race orphan, Afro Boricua orphan who lived in, she was an unprotected child, which is one of the most dangerous things to be, period. And, dealt with severe abuse by the time she was 2 years old. She kept it moving like a lot of poor women do. There's this thing about resilience. I don't know about all that. I know she kept putting her shoes and socks on and kept it moving and raised me by any means necessary. But at 11 years old, when, she got fired from the job she worked so hard to get, where she was practicing what I call revolutionary love work, unlike anti-social work, which so many of these so-called non-profiteers do. She was practicing, restoration instead of separation, because the state, CPS, is constantly separating poor families, which was also depicted in the movie. And she gave up. She said it was one more little murder of the soul. She could not keep fighting. She became disabled, and we ended up outside. Boom, like that. No, we didn't get back in right away and overcome and pick up bootstraps. That's not life. That's not real life. But it's not that we didn't try. We were two of the hardest working micro business vendors you would ever want to meet. We could never raise enough to get inside. And what ended up happening is I was eventually, and I think I've said this on previous show with you, was eventually incarcerated at 18, because it's another topic in the movie. It's illegal to be on the street in the stolen land. And that's a very important part, is to name the criminalization. The fact that the police are the agency that comes out for a call against houseless people who arguably are doing nothing but living without a roof is in and of itself at the core of
not
this.
only it's the Governor Gavin Newsom. Oh my God, he is terrible when it comes to houseless people. Me saw him when he was a board supervisor and mayor of San Francisco. I mean, he was, oh my God, he was like Nazi when it came to houseless people. So he's gonna take that to the White House, So.
Well, at least he's not Trump, which is essentially the campaign promise that he and his party makes. So again, I gotta. I'm going to repeat this. You all did a really wonderful job of all of these issues you're talking about are interwoven into this film brilliantly.
Thank you.
And painfully. I mean, and very realistically. Obviously, it's based on reality, but it's done. It comes. I mean, it. So I'm impressed with the acting. I'm impressed with the set designs. I'm impressed with the lighting and the camera work and the editing and the editing of the spirit part. All of those, the interweaving of the poetry, the to the point you were just making, the crime that these houseless people are committing is I think brilliantly depicted in the film as terrifying the gentrifying new residents who come into these communities and that haven't fully gentrified quite yet and are terrified by the people who have been there.
Right.
You got the sister reminded the white woman or fair skin, whatever, coming out saying, the Karen, as I thought she was, saying, you're I'm calling the police on you. And the woman is saying, while trying to deal with being on. So like it was so real because it's like I'm trying to get my shit together, and then here comes Karen yelling at me, and it's
Right.
like I'm trying, and I've been here longer than you,
Okay.
and it's like, oh my God, it was so well done. It was so well done.
Right.
So all of these issues, and then it's like, and then for me, the vibe, this is really what it is. The vibe that I always look for, you all hit. Because all I
Mm.
want to do is break shit up and become a real problem. Almost forgot I was on YouTube for a second. I really, and I think that to me is the true sign of a well-made media product. If you,
Mm.
because that's what I want when I see something. I don't want to just walk away feeling like, oh wow, that was terrible. Sucks for them. You know, I want to be made to feel like I'm not doing. I want to be made to feel guilty. I want to be made to
Oh,
feel angry. I want to be made to feel like I really do need to become a problem. And and you all did it. I mean, this
thank
is
you.
exactly so can we talk a little bit
Yeah,
about like
sure.
how, forgive me, I'm even forgetting because I know I keep crediting only Poor Magazine, but there's a film
No,
company,
no, let's lift up Adrian and Green Diamond
Green
project.
Diamond. Yes.
So we love Green Diamond. We love Adrian Diamond. I want to shout out to what I call Good Son, because we have a thing called People School where we teach young folks with different forms of race and class privilege about radical redistribution.
Mm.
As you might have noticed, that was like inserted there.
Oh,
My
that's what I mean. It's so, but
right,
it's done in a way that it's
right,
like,
right. Yeah, and my son was joking. He goes, "We should have had a third. What is it called? Cut the third wall and like put a flyer." I was like, "No," but anyway,
no, to break the fourth wall, right, and
right,
put
right, right,
and
right,
then
right,
talk directly to the audience.
right. But all
It
that
wasn't necessary.
it
I don't
wasn't
think
it,
it's
right?
necessary.
Right. So Adrian went to people's school. He's a young man. He's the son of poverty scholars. The son of Black and Portuguese mama and papa, poverty scholars, as we call ourselves, who's struggling for one dime. And I guess the way he tells it, he became a fan of Poor Magazine. He loved everything we did, and so he reached out to us. And at that point, um, he had done some films, not quote unquote in the professional film world, but then he became, he taught himself and did beautiful work. And um he just said, whatever you guys are interested in doing, I'm down to help. And right at that point, some personal story piece off topic. I had a major crisis. I mean, I've had a lot of crisis in my life, but I had a deep one. It was very personal. Won't get into, but it made me see my mortality, if you will. And I ended up randomly, because I'm a sixth grade, formally educated poverty scholar, but I randomly ended up getting credit for time served, as I call it, and going to this literary art program at this low residency called Goddard. And they let me in. They gave me credit for time served, gave me a pass on the no BA and all that. And for the first time in my life, I got some time to think and to write. I mean, I've written books and stuff, but I'm always running around trying to, help support my community and family and myself and struggling for $1. But I had this moment and I was able to really think. And in that moment, I recognized that I needed to write so much more of my life and so much more of my comrades' life and the ancestors that I hold every day. And lo and behold, the teachers there said, "Wow, this is amazing." And one of the teachers, and shout out to Dara Cloud, said to me, "Tiny, your work is too big for just the page.
Yeah.
You need to turn this into a movie." And I started with a play of the same name and created it along with my folks, all of our folks at Poor, all houseless and formerly houseless folks. And then I did my first adapted screenplay. Um, and we had no budget, Jared. It was a no budget movie. Uh, but what we had was a determination And my mama didn't raise no talker. So if I set my mind to doing something, oh, best believe it'll happen somehow. And Adrian said, "Yeah, I'll work pro bono. Let's make this happen." And Leroy was one of the co-directors, and Mutiago Silencio. I want to shout out my brother Mood, and we created the movie in 3 weekends.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was,
Are you serious?
yeah, I am. 3 weekends. And it was shot. Wait for it. It was shot all down Black Arthur. It's called MacArthur, but we rename it things. Then Deep East Uchun, Oakland. At Homefulness 1, which you saw, Homefulness 1, and then Homefulness 2, which is some other land we're liberating. And then in San Francisco, in all the places us houseless folks go there too. So it was only shot on the street. It's all real life space. And I think the only thing that we did that we had to borrow some money for, because Adrian was about that life, was he was like, let's get a real cop car.
Yeah.
He rented a real cop car, Jared.
I mean, but that's part of my question because, like, you had tow trucks in there. You have this is like. So for you to say that you had zero budget and 3 weekends is just that's even. It's both. I mean, it's impressive. It's also motivational. I gotta like
Okay.
it gives more. If yes, the politics of the film are obviously primary, but I think the fact of the film is at minimum a secondary important. In other words, to demonstrate that these things can be done. A quality film can be done without a Marvel studio budget.
Okay.
And you can make all the political statements you want without it becoming preachy or lose all the stereotypical critical things we hear about radical political art.
Right.
It's too preachy or it's too this that and the third. No. I mean, you can you can do all of that. And so yeah, so salute again to so I mean, so like was it did they have like real film cameras and stuff, or was it like what were they using? Like
Let me
what?
back up to say that it was also, and that's why People School is such an important thing. I do want to name it and lift it up for anybody listening. If you're interested in being involved in Poor Magazine and you come from some kind of privilege or not, you're a poverty scholar, we ask the people go to People School. It's a de-gentrification, decolonization seminar. One of the reasons we do that, Jared, is there's a whole lot of so-called artists and writers out there who do a lot of extracting of our communities for their stories. And one of the things that we teach is and I'll shout out to the Abalali Mojadolo, the Intellectualist Union in South Africa, who are our comrades as a landless people's movement. That's who we, connect with, as well as the Zapatistas and others. But they say no, middle class media, no, don't document us and don't write about us. Back up. That's similar to us. We create our own voice. We don't need no more about us without us. And we don't need more performance of poverty. And when I say that, I'm talking about movies like Nomadland. And no disrespect to Frances McDormand, but sis hasn't been on the street. What the heck is she playing a houseless woman? That shit messed me up. I'm gonna be real. And let's be real, the communities of poverty and struggle are constantly predated or depicted without our involvement. And I say that to say that one of the goals of this, and that's why that's our tagline, we're not acting, we're living, is breaking through that barrier of almost elitism that exists within who can tell stories and whose stories can be beautiful and seen. This is one of the goals of me and my mom. It's one of the reasons we made an intentionally glossy magazine back in 1996 when we were dealing with being houseless on the street. We're like, no, we want to create a beautiful vessel for our stories. And it's going to be hard, and we're going to fight to do every piece of it. but we're going to create that because that is going to then reach across, right? That unseen divide. And I
And
want to go ahead, Leroy.
preach, because that's how I got involved. I saw that magazine. I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Right.
So it did reach, your audience, but yeah.
Right. Well, and the thing is that, you know, in the resisting this extraction of our stories, I don't want to name names and talk ish, but there's, books that come out all the time about poor people,
Oh yeah.
right? Even that movie or that book about the welfare queen that was written by a white academic, whatever. So he's telling our story, oh, thank you, white man, for telling our story. But the reality is that's not your story to tell. I'm sorry, I'll fall on that sword, Jared, because to me, so our stories are her stories and his stories are sacred, and they need to be told by us so that we can actually shape them in such a way that honors our ancestors and honors the people who died in this violence, and also lifts up the solutions that we actually have. And so one of the things that happened is that graduates of People School and community who had some resources
Yeah.
worked, right. They worked for free. So again, if you're deconstructing, how did we even do this, right? Not only did Adrian Diamond, who's amazing, and he has all the cameras and all that stuff. I mean, he's really good at what he does. Um, he worked for free, but also several of the other, like there was a lighting guy. There was that really matters in movies. There was a sound guy, and we did have to raise some money for him, but it was a cut rate that he charged us. And then I want to shout out to Blaze, who's really a rather well-known editor from LA. He was part of the, what is it, The Good Life? Is that what that crew was called back in the day, Leroy? I
That's
think so, right?
that even
Brother
sounds familiar
Blaze,
to me. Yeah.
yeah, Brother Blaze is amazing, and he offered his editing services
Yeah.
at a cut rate, and he normally gets thousands of dollars for that, and there would be no way we would have been able to pay for that, right? And real talk, Jared, we had at the end of this whole beautiful thing, we had a movie that was 3 hours and 30 minutes, and I was like, "You know what, bruh, we are not the Dune trilogy up in here, okay? Nobody's gonna sit in this all we might love it, but we gotta bring that shit down to a digestible amount." And Blaze went in and made that happen. And so, again, how do poor folks create our own stories? Well, it's a community. It takes a community to make a movie. So there's just some of the stuff that happened.
No,
Yeah.
I appreciate all of that. And then so how are people encouraged to see it?
Yeah.
Uh
Well, this is where we're at right now.
okay.
Um, we just had a premiere. Oh my God, we just had a premiere. Yes, thank you. It was so beautiful. I can't even explain. We were at the Roxy. Um, the ancestors were there with us. The First Nations relative of that land, Greg Castro, Ramatush Aloni, he opened us up with a prayer song, and we had danza, and we did all the things. But anyway, that was at the Roxy in San Francisco. Our next showing in Occupied Uchun, Oakland, is at the New Parkway on December 6th at 6 p.m. Myself and Leroy Moore and all the cast will be there. We encourage people to come through, reserve a ticket first because it will sell out. Even though we, sell out, we give hella tickets away because, this isn't about making money, Jared. This is about making sure this medicine is out there. So for houseless poverty scholars, they get in for free. If you got a little bit of change, please cut it off and kick us down. At the tickets are sliding scale, 3, 5, 10, and $20. And then it's going to be in LA at 2220 Arts on January 7th. And now, frankly, And I'm so excited that we got to be on your platform. And for anybody out in that direction, we are looking for a New York, a DC, and a Philly venue. We do want to come with this movie at first because we also teach on things and we connect up with the houseless community in the town. And it's a platform for them to talk about what's going on in their space. We're never about this is our shit. This is always for us about radical sharing.
But
And so, go ahead.
it's amazing how much theaters cost because we don't just show the movie. We have to kick down just to show the freaking movie in their theater.
Yeah, we had to pay. We had to rent the space, Jared.
No, I get it. The layers of hostilities and contradictions are crazy. I can't. Yeah, I can't obviously make any promises, but I'll at least raise some questions and see what I can find out about finding a venue out here. And yeah, I got I'll see. Yeah, try to figure something out.
Please.
Yeah, let me start thinking about that because I really want to help as much as possible people to see this film and encourage people to see it, and as you say, help get the medicine out. Um,
I wanted to say to
no,
you,
please go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, I wanted to say to you that me and Leroy, we see movies all the time because I'm from LA, and so like it's bad, but we saw that one battle after another one, and I just want to say I appreciate so much what you said about it, bruh. You spoke to my mama and myself, and thank you for all of the words that you said.
Thank you. I hate that fucking.
That's like what the hell?
That's hilarious because then Leroy yelled at me afterwards. He said, "Why you made me go see that?" I said, "We were both there, okay, co-signing on
Right,
that.
we were right,
Don't try
right.
to put that on me."
Yeah, don't right. We were quick to turn on each other if the movie's bad. We've been
Okay,
it's a
okay,
look
always
look what you made me sit through. I'm not
exactly.
yeah. Well, folks will not have to worry about that with crushing wheelchairs. It's going to be it'll be seriously though. That was kind of what was like making me even more kind of emotional. It's like you all did all of this. I didn't know how quite low the budget was, but I knew it wasn't Hollywood money. And then, to your point about this film, they have endless resources and make trash.
Right,
And of course a lot of it is on purpose.
right,
So it's
yeah,
super frustrating.
yeah.
Um, just real quick, got a question here from Yipper. What did you all think of the depiction of homelessness in The Soloist? Just wondering. Did you all see that film and remember any thoughts about it?
Well, and you know what's interesting? Remember, me and we both didn't we both? You saw that, right, Leroy?
I think I saw
Wasn't
it.
it Not Samuel? Was it Samuel Jackson or was it?
Yeah,
No,
No,
no, it wasn't him. Who was it's
who's that other brother? What?
Jamie Foxx
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Robert Downey Jr.
Right. I mean, I have to say that was based
Supposedly based on a true story,
on a
right?
true
Yeah.
story. That I think that story needed to be told. Um, I thought it was delicately done and really beautiful. Of course, it was still extraction. I don't know how much. This is my call. Okay, so just we're clear. If you are a privileged person in making a story about a movie, etc., a book about somebody, about one of us, make sure that we get a byline on that MF. Okay, this is not your story. So if you're going to make it, make sure it's a co-authorship, it's a co-directorship, it's a co-producer, and make sure that that person gets a kick down from the proceeds.
And not points on the
Okay,
net profits, because
that's
that's the
right.
hustle they give to make sure they never pay anybody. Because according to Hollywood and their accounting, no films make any money.
Thank you.
So make sure
And
you
I'm
get in
talking
on them
straight up
gross
cut.
numbers.
Yep, straight up cut. And I say the same thing to authors writing books, and I say the same thing to playwrights. So Yeah, don't even get me started. But I really hope that anybody who's in that world recognizes. And if you want to know more about that concept of, actual radical sharing, but more importantly, proper credit, I say intellectual property is the only property us poor people have. Okay? That part.
Well, I want to bring up the movie with Samuel Jackson. Is called The Caveman Valentine.
Mm.
The
That
Caveman Valentine.
terrible. Yeah,
Oh, terrible. Okay, I was about to say.
it came out in 2001, and that was he was houseless because black men are houseless. But it was very terrible.
Oh, there's
Oh,
so
okay.
many.
Wow, wow,
There's
wow.
so many. There's
Yeah.
so many movies about us without us, fam. There's so many stories and, articles and books and this and that. The reality is we have voices. We can create our own. Or we can definitely be credited for the struggles that we left with. That
You
part.
know, that would be something I'd be interested if the both of you ever are interested in doing that. In having a
Absolutely.
discussion specifically like reviewing films that
Yes.
depict
I have
houselessness.
so many, Jared. I'll send you a link to it. Yeah, we could go on and on. I'd totally be down to do a
All
show on
right,
it.
yeah, I'd be interested in doing that.
Please,
And
please.
real quick, Leroy, was Sam Jackson basically playing himself in that movie? Like, is
Uh,
he? Because he seems to me he's always the same character in all these films. Is he basically doing the same thing? Yeah, I'm homeless, motherfucker.
I
right. What good thing?
love it, Jared.
What good thing is that this white couple saves them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Always. There's always somebody there. Oh my,
Oh my god. So okay, listen.
I gotta go, but are you good? Are we good?
I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I'm talking to somebody else. I gotta
Oh
get ready because we're about to do sliding scale cafe.
no, listen. I look. I put the link to Poor Magazine is the show is in the link is in the show description.
Yes,
I encourage people if they haven't already to tap in, look at you have your screenings for the film set up there so people can pay attention to that.
absolutely.
I promise you I will start looking into for whatever good it's going to do to see what I can find out about venues out here. And I encourage people who see this, if you have ideas about East Coast or anywhere venues for the film, please contact. If not, Lisa and Leroy directly through Poor Magazine, you can contact me and let me know, and I'll reach out and
Oh,
see if we can put something together. Let's and because folks, seriously, super congratulations to you all. This and I really do. We really got to get people to see this film.
oh, Mateo. Thank you, Jared. We
So
love you so much. Appreciate you.
thank you both very much,
All
and Lisa, Leroy, big salute.
right,
Peace to you
Ashe.
both, because I know you're always out there willing to fight for it, and I'll talk to you sooner than later.
Talk to you soon, family.
Peace, 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 peace.
Peace.
All right, everybody. Listen, big salute to Leroy and Lisa Tiny Gray Garcia, uh, who have been guests a number of times over the years on shows, and I really respect the work they do. The link again to Poor Magazine is in the show description. Crushing wheelchairs, people. We gotta find a way for people to see this film, and we gotta bring in Mtume and folks, because I really do. I think what they did here, like this is the kind of third cinema that more of us can make. And if they did it on the shoestring or lack of a budget that they did it on, folks with some modicum of a budget and skill set should be able to do. We should be able to find many more and make many more films like this. So yeah, I'm even thinking, I don't know. We got to figure something out. So big shout out to them. The film is great. I can't say enough about how impressive it is. Um, So you're back to the screechy stuff. So the music at the beginning, there's folks that send me these I appreciate, and as an old hip hop head, if they're gonna, sample my voice in a track, I'm appreciative. So but yeah, folks, we crushing wheelchairs. Gots to see it. I can't believe they pulled this thing off and it was this good. And everybody in Hollywood should be ashamed of themselves. It's like, how can you have all this money? No, I'm just playing. We know why they make terrible movies. All right. Yeah, refresh. You might need to refresh because the link wasn't there at the beginning of the stream. So, but the link is definitely there right in the show description, right there at the top. I'm double checking it right there. Poor Magazine. Yep, right there. And you can get everything you need to donate. Please donate and support if you can. We know what it is. And you can learn about the film screening. Oh man, I'm damn near tempted to fly out to Oakland and go see it in the theater with everybody. I don't think I have permission or clearance for that, and this is not the time financially for these things. But that's the mood I'm on. That film. All right. Let me get out of here. Listen, everybody, please, thank you very much for those who were able to make it here live. To those who will see this later, thanks to you as well. A bunch of content coming out, so it has been dropping. So please check that out as well and support all of our constellation of comrades. Really appreciate all of them and all of you. As usual, peace only if you're willing to fight for it, as Fred Hampton used to say. And more importantly,
it's incredible. I love Rhonda.
And what do you sacrifice?
Calm, kindness, kinship, love. I've given up all chance at inner peace. I made my mind a sunless space. I share my dreams with ghosts. I wake up every day to an equation I wrote 15 years ago for which there's only one conclusion. I'm damned for what I do. My anger, my ego, my unwillingness to yield, my eagerness to fight, that set me on a path from which there's no escape. I yearn to be a savior against injustice without contemplating the cost, and by the time I look down, there's no longer any ground beneath my feet. What is my sacrifice? I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy and defeat them. I burn my decency for someone else's future. I burn my life to make a sunrise that I know I'll never see. Now, the ego that started this fight will never have a mirror or an audience or the light of gratitude. So what do I sacrifice? Everything, 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 everything.
I mix what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like, what I like.